another video, and I am sitting on the floor, so the view has changed. Let me know if you guys like it. It's a little easier to film this way because the floor is a solid surface, whereas my bed is not. But today I thought, since it is the season of summer, unfortunately I'm not a summer fan, I'm an autumn lover till the day I die, but I thought we could do some summer recommendations. So my criteria for a summery book, I honestly think it's just a book that's faster paced and really grips my attention, because summer for me anyways is faster paced than all the other seasons, whereas fall, you know, it's slow, it's cozy, it's amazing. But those are sort of my criteria for a summer book, and I do have a nice stack right over here, so let's get into it. Okay, so I have a couple options for mysteries slash thrillers, but some of them I don't own. So the ones I do own, this is the Lori Cass's Bookmobile Cat mystery series, and this follows Minnie, and she is a librarian in Michigan, not Massachusetts, and she has been petitioning to drive the bookmobile for the library, and she finally gets it, and so it's her dream come true, and she has this cat named Eddie, and he's very mischievous, and he sneaks on board the bookmobile, and now everyone loves him, so she has to bring him back. But they sort of just go and solve all these mysteries together. To be honest, if you're looking for a really detailed mystery, this isn't really that. This is more like you have a list of suspects and we narrow it down to who did it. But it's definitely not the most detailed, the most in-depth mystery plot ever. They're just sort of fun, faster, shorter reads, and they are enjoyable, you know, they're not super... The stories are a little similar after a while, but I still enjoyed most of them, and yeah, they're just sort of just quick little mysteries. And then for thrillers, I actually don't own any of these, but Alana Terry is a really good thriller author, and she is a Christian, so a lot of hers are faith-based, and my favorite one by her is Save Me Once, and I stayed up to 3 in the morning finishing it, but they're all really good. Like I said, I don't own any of them, and they are thrillers, and a lot of them are shorter. I think Save Me Once is... I audiobooked most of them because the Hoopla had it for free. I think maybe 5 hours. Most of them are on average 5 hours, and a lot of them do take place in Alaska, but some of them don't. But yeah, Save Me Once is my favorite by her. They sort of remind me of Criminal Minds a little, and I adore that show. Not the newer seasons, but the older ones I really love. So those are some options for, you know, if you're looking for a mystery or a thriller. Baby is, I don't know if you can see her tail. She has joined us. Then I have some dystopian that I thought would be good. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about what this series is about, because I'm sure everyone on the planet knows, but I think The Hunger Games are a good summer read because they're so engaging. They're incredible books, and they are shorter, and these editions scream summer, and I adore them. But that's by Susan Collins. I'm not going to go into detail because I'm sure you all know what the plot of The Hunger Games is. But for some other dystopian options, there is a series, it's called the Testing series. I don't own these, and I forgot who the author was, but they're really good, a really good dystopian. So it is a futuristic setting, and every year there's a chance, or you hit a certain age where you can take this test, and if you pass this test, you're like in the 1%, and you get to go apply in the capital to become a higher end job, and no one in our main character's town has been picked for the testing in years. Her dad was, and the thing is, they wipe your memory of the testing, and so no one knows like what goes on, because you know they say it's so that people can't cheat during it, but she ends up getting picked for the testing, and it just sort of follows her because the testing is very deadly. Like, there is some horrible stuff going on behind the scenes, but of course nobody knows because everyone's memory's wiped. So this series is very intriguing and pretty gripping. I'd say the plot is pretty unique, and I did really enjoy it. I can't remember the author because I did listen to these I think a year and a half ago, so I will find out her name and put it on the screen as well as a picture of them, but it is a completed trilogy. The character relationships are very fun to read about. So there is another dystopian option. And then I have one more option for dystopian, and this one I don't know if it's completed or not. I've only listened to the first one. I want to listen to the others though. But that's the Recruit of Talionis. I don't know if this series has a name, but the first one is called Recruit of Talionis, and this is another dystopian. The setting of this book is America, and all of the countries we know and continents we know have been completely dissolved. But they live on the American continent, but it's no longer America. And one night she is just, sleeping in bed, and she gets kidnapped. And she wakes up in the forest with all these other kids who have been kidnapped by these strange people that they've never heard of before. And they get taken to this academy, and they're training soldiers for Talionis, which is the city they get taken to, which is sort of, no one's really heard of it, but it's like an apex city. So they get kidnapped to become soldiers for Talionis, and it was a really good listen. I did really enjoy it. The ending was a bit of a cliffhanger, and there are 2 other books out. I think Fugitive of Talionis and Enemy of Talionis are out. I don't know if that's completed or not, but I definitely highly recommend these ones. They are faith-based as well, and they're really, really enjoyable. Okay, next I have some fantasy, because I feel like a nice fast-paced fantasy is always good for the summer months. But this one is definitely summery. But that's Unearthed Tides by Alyssa J. Zavalanos. That's Minnie. This is actually a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea retelling. I have briefly read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I'm going to reread it more thoroughly. But this is a very summer vibey read because it's a nautical adventure. But this follows Huxley, and he works for the King's Guard, and he gets accused of treason. So he's trying to get off the continent they live and cross over to the other one. And him and his friend, they get in the boat, they're going, because, if he gets caught, he's gonna get executed. But as they're trying to cross the ocean to the other side, they get caught up in a storm, and they wake up on this wooden platform attached to the Red Death, which is like this mythical monster that's haunted the waters of where I think it's called the Drowning Tides, is because there is a map, the Wasteful Tides. Here's the map. Her books are really pretty. Like here, this is one of the chapters. All of the chapters have these waves on them, and then others have, let me find one, these quotes with the really pretty coral reef theme on them. Her books are gorgeous, but this definitely gives summer to me because it is shorter, it's quicker, it's nautical, so it checks all my boxes for a summer read. And then her new book coming out in November screams summer. It's a nautical themed one. I'm dying to read this book. I'm so excited. November 5th. Mark your calendars, guys. Another by Alyssa J. Zavalanos that I have is The Earth Treader. This is actually the first book I ever read by her, and what sort of really got me into loving her books, because this one was really good. But this follows Ryla, and she lives in the Earthcrest Kingdoms, and her dad's a cartographer, and she's sort of been learning his trade and such. But one day she feels, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. So she sort of has this really deep connection to the things around her, nature-wise, and one day she's out in this glen in the forest where she loves to go, and she meets this cat. But the thing is, the cat can talk, and he tells her, there he is, his name is Moo, he's adorable, and he tells her, you're an Earth Treader, and I need your help. And the thing is, an Earth Treader hasn't been seen in like years, centuries, and he's like, darkness is sweeping across the Earthcrest Kingdoms, I need your help to put it in check. And this just sort of follows their adventures. She does make friends along the way. There's a little bit of a romance. It's super sweet. There was like a Lord of the Rings quote in here. Love that. But this is what made me love her writing and buy all her other books and read them all and love them all. And make me super excited for the new one. So high recommend of The Earth Treader. Then this is my last fantasy that I have, but I actually just finished book 2 on this series, and that's the Keeper of Light series by Katherine Jordan. The first one is Shadow. So I can't really, this book, the first one, was more character driven, and the plot is very general and loose. So I can't really give a great description of it, but basically they live in the kingdom of Talia, and Rothlin is sort of the main, where a lot of the events of this book focus on, that city specifically. But the king has just died, and this guy, Drathen, is sort of taking over, worming his way into the position of power. And we follow the White Clan, who live out in the forest, and they're just, they kind of give off Robin Hood almost. They just live in the forest, completely isolated, not completely, but isolated from the city, and the White Riders get accused of being the person who's killed the king. And we sort of follow a lot of different characters. Like I said, this one was more character driven, and we're never in one point of view. We switch point of views very frequently. It's like we're an omnipresent, just third person, switching into different people's points of views all the time. And I really enjoyed that, because even though these books are pretty chunky, like this is, I think, the shortest one of the whole series. The second one was 500 pages, which I just finished. They feel really fast paced because the writing is very quick, and I also love how she gives you information. She doesn't just dump it on you all at once. She really spreads it out and makes it very cohesible. So this series is really good. I just finished book 2, which is Fragments. It's up on my shelf up there somewhere. And I have the 3rd book, and I'm gonna read it very soon. I'm a little worried because it's called Bloodshed, so a little worried for my characters, but this is a definite quick-paced fantasy that I would recommend for summer. I have some sci-fi, which I love some sci-fi. I don't have a lot of them, but this is the Star-Lore Legacy. I don't know why I'm holding it like this. Hang on. This is the Star-Lore Legacy by Chuck Black. Now, let me tell you something. Chuck Black is one of my favorite authors of all times. The audiobooks are absolutely incredible. We listen to them annually as a family. Like, it's a tradition for us. But his series are absolutely incredible. So this one follows Dason Star-Lore, and this is sort of the journey of the Israelites, starting from Exodus to, we got to somewhere in the New Testament at the end of this. But it is that story, but put into futuristic sci-fi terms with like special twists, and it is so good. I love these so much. It's really, the last one is actually kind of really sad. This one, not the last one, but Merchant, very sad. You get so connected to these characters, and the way that he writes them, and he's writing it from, you know, using the Bible, but how he makes it work, because, you know, there's a huge gap obviously between Exodus and the New Testament, like hundreds of years, but the way he makes it work is so amazing, and I love this series so much. And I will show you each cover because they're beautiful. So this is the first one, Nova, and I highly recommend the audiobooks on Hoopla if you have Hoopla. But the second one is Flight. Then we have Lore. Here's the 4th one, and these have this soft, what's it called, the soft matte, like the texture of the cover, which is my favorite in paperbacks. The 3rd one is Merchant, probably my favorite cover. And finally we have Reclamation. And you want to know something cool? Hang on a second. They're all signed to me! These were a birthday gift for my mom, and they're probably one of the best gifts I've ever gotten in my entire life, because I love his writing. I have all of his other books right around here, which I highly recommend all of his books. But those ones specifically for summer, because they're shorter and they're sci-fi, and if you like, those go really well in summer. Okay, next I have some classical if you're looking more for that. But I would recommend Little Men and Jo's Boys. I feel like Little Women is more spring to me because I read it in spring. But Little Men and Jo's Boys, specifically Jo's Boys, feel like a summer read to me because a lot of it takes place in the summer. This is just the Little Women collection, but I'm specifically recommending Little Men and Jo's Boys. I will say I didn't love the ending of Joe's Boys. It was a little anticlimactic, rushed feeling to me, but they're still really good. So Little Men and Joe's Boys is sort of a sequel to Little Women, because at the end of Little Women, Joe opens her school for boys, and these sort of follow the students there, and it's really good. We also get a continuation of all of Joe's sisters and their stories, and they're just, the characters are so sweet in here and endearing, and I was sad when it was over, but I love Louisa May Alcott's writing. I'm currently reading 8 Cousins by her, and this edition is so pretty. I actually got this on my first ever trip to Barnes & Noble when I, like, 2 years ago. I think 3 years ago. So it's got a little special memory, and I absolutely love it. This one is a little random, but The 1001 Nights, or Tales from the Arabian Nights. This is my Harvard Classic Edition. I love these so much. I read these stories last year, but basically this is where Aladdin comes from, which actually Aladdin is based in China, so that was very interesting. But these are told from this perspective. So the king of this country, him and his brother one day go down to the shore and they meet a genie, and he basically tells him all women are untrustworthy and bad. And I'm sort of paraphrasing here because like I said, I read this last year, so I might be getting some of the details wrong. But the genie tells him all women are untrustworthy and bad. So every single day he gets a new wife, and at the end of it he offs her, and he, what's her name? I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Her first name, Shahrazad. There's a cool picture. She gets picked to be his wife for the day. But at the end of the day, she tells him a story, but she doesn't tell him the ending. And he's like, well, how did it end? And she goes, I'll tell you tomorrow night. So this is told from the perspective of, these are the stories she tells him for 1001 nights. Every night she tells him a new one. And they're very silly stories, very odd stories, but they're just a good time to read, and I really enjoy them. I think they are perfect for summer because, you know, they're short stories, they're fast-paced, a lot of them are set in deserts. And somebody needs to come tell Sinbad from here to stay off the ocean. And then next I have another classic by Charlotte Bronte, and that's Villette. I love this edition so much. This was my first read by Charlotte Bronte. I do have Jane Eyre that I plan on reading this fall, but this was really good, especially an introduction to her writing. So this follows Lucy Snow, that's our main character, and I love that name so much. But it sort of just like goes through her life journey. We get a lot of deep inner monologue, and I feel I've probably never related to a character more than Lucy Snow. Some of the lines in here were so amazing. I don't dog ear or underline in a lot of my books, so I don't know where those quotes are in here. But she was just so very relatable and felt so very human and real to me. Because, you know, a lot of characters, while they seem real, they just don't seem relatable. Whereas she felt both to me. The ending was very interesting. Like, I wasn't expecting it to end like that. I was disappointed at first, but then as I thought about it more, I was like, wow, it's just realistic. So I highly recommend this one. It took me a while to read, but I did really, really like it and enjoy it, and I'm really excited to read Jane Eyre. And then, if you're looking for some poetry, I would recommend Emily Dickinson's. This is the selected poems of her. This was my first gateway into poetry. I do have another collection of her poetry over on my little poetry section right there. But she has very beautiful writing, and her poetry honestly feels like when she was writing it, she felt things very deeply. Just going off of her poems, it seems like she was a person who really felt things really deeply, and a lot of her poems do have a lot to do with summer or death, and this was honestly so new to me because I'd never read poetry before this, and I'm really glad I did read it. It's very, just, I don't know really what word I want to describe it as, but I do really recommend it. And then last but not least, I have 2 Lamplighters because it's like a rule for me, I have to recommend a Lamplighter. But we have The Secret Bridge by Amy Lefebvre. I don't know how that's how I've looked up how to say her last name so many times, and every time it's different, so I'm not sure. But it follows Bridget. This is one of my favorites, and this cover is just so gorgeous. But this follows Bridget and her uncle. Yeah, her uncle just passed away, and so she's getting on this boat to go to the city to meet up with one of her uncle's friends, who was like, you can come live with me, I'll take care of you, because she has no other family. But she gets there and the friend is nowhere to be found. So she's like completely by herself in this brand new city. She's never really traveled before. But on the way over on the boat, she meets this man named Godfrey, which is a great name. And he's like talking to her and such. But she's there, and he sees her, and he's like, hey, are you okay? She sort of explains to him, I have no one here. My friend who was supposed to meet me is not here. And so he sort of helps her out. But then at the end, because he has to leave again from the city, he's like, marry me. Come and, like, be engaged to me. Not marry, but be engaged to me. And you can come live at my family's house. And so she's like, at first she's like, absolutely not, what are you talking about? But then she sort of is like, I'm open to the idea. So she moves to where his family live, and they don't tell the family that they're engaged to be married. He's sort of like wanting to see how his family would react just to her as a person without knowing that they're engaged, because their family is very high in society. But so he's like, don't tell my family you're engaged to me. And so she goes to live there, and there's a neighboring family, and they sort of have this war going on between these two families. Not like an actual guns a-blazing war, but just sort of a territory war because of some disagreement like 100 years ago. And she sort of is like, why are you guys fighting about something this stupid? But she sort of ends up being the secret bridge in between these two families, and it was just really heartwarming. I really did love Bridget and Godfrey's relationship. At first I didn't, but then at first I was like, Godfrey, you have so much confidence and audacity. It's kind of crazy. But getting to know him, he was actually a really great character. So I highly recommend this one. The last book I have is one of my favorite Lamplighters ever, but that's The Wide Wide World by Susan Warner. This book is so good even though it's long. So this follows Ellen, and her mom is sick. And she has to go over the sea to a different continent to get this treatment for her illness. And so she sends Ellen to live with her Aunt Fortune, who lives in the countryside, and Ellen's always lived in the city. I think she's like 5 years old, 5 or 7 at the beginning of this. So she goes to live with her aunt, and her aunt does not like her. It's very trying for poor little Ellen, and it just follows her life's journey, and I just love this book so much. The characters were so sweet. It almost made me cry when a certain event happened with one of the characters. But this book is just so amazing. There's little pictures in it. I adore this book. I want to reread it soon. Okay, so those are my summer recommendations for the summer season. I hope you guys are having a great summer, and thank you all so much for all the support with the videos and the channel. I really, really appreciate it. I am working on a reading vlog that I've been sort of filming for over a week now because I'm in a little bit of a reading slump. But I hope that comes out soon, and I hope it turns out good. But those are just some summer recommendations that I hope you guys pick up and enjoy, and thank you so much, and goodbye.